G'day everybody, Rolling Mel 9 here in the brand new Fokker dry motor, and it's please excuse the HUD display there. I'm still learning how to fly this beautiful plane. There she is, Fokker 7, and we'll be on our way to Santa Maria Airport. And in the history of Smithy, he was flying down to Long Beach to see an oil company to sell the Southern Cross because he just couldn't get the money together to do the journey. He'd got the money for the plane and the engines, but he still didn't have enough money to do the flight. So he was on his way to sell the plane to an oil company and hoping they'd give him the plane to do the flight and the money. So, start this up and I'll tell you a bit about Smithy. Okay, I didn't do it. Start up. There seems to be something wrong with the switches here. The petrol and starting it up from cold. Anyway, we're all started up. Get rid of this. Okay. And we've got chocks on this, you see down here. I'll take them off. Okay. Lovely old bus this is. Taken off here at Oakland. Got a full rudder of this plane. Got a bit of a misty day too. Now I've put a lot of weight in this in the plane. Put all the passengers and everything up to 200 pounds. Bit of weight in it. Seems to fly a little bit better that way. Go with the lever. Right. A fast plane, but where you want to go. Hey, Viper Strike. Oh, okay, mate. You should be just out of Oakland, crossing over the bay, going south. Probably going up to about 4,500, 5,000 feet. Get over the mountains. Yes, slow old plane for beauty. It's pretty rendered well. It's from the Australian version of it. They had a few versions of this plane, a lot of modifications. I don't see the wind generators that are supposed to be there, just under the cockpit window there. They were supposed to be. They haven't rendered them in this one for some reason. And there's no Southern Cross stars on it either. VHUS U was a bit smaller where that window ends here, and Southern Cross stars painted on there. this in America was actually registered as 1985. It had its registration number here in California. Got form in notes. A bit hard to see the gauges. Let's get up close to them. Get up a bit here. Raisins and toast, how are you, mate? I'm good, very good. On the first flight, not the first flight, but a flight that was pretty historical. He hadn't got enough money to do the whole flight, so he was on his way down to California, down to Long Beach, to sell the plane to an oil company, and hoping he'd give the plane to him to do the flight. And it didn't work out that way. He met an old girlfriend named Kay, and she introduced him to a guy named Alan Hancock, the millionaire. They went out on his yacht, and they got to talking, and he ended up lending the money, buying the plane off them, giving them the $16,000, enough that they needed for all the other things they had to put in the plane and expenses. He was able to do the flight. If it wasn't for Hancock, he probably would never have done the flight. Okay, we're just about on course here. A bit hard to use the compass. It's the same one in the Southern Cross. And I'll just tell you a little bit about Smithy. He was born in 9th of February 1897. He went to live in America with his parents for a couple of years, and they came back to Australia. His father was a banker, and he travelled around a lot in those early years. And they came back to Australia, and Smithy went to a private school. He say a lot of photos. There's a photo here of him when he was a choir boy at his school, and voice broke, and that was the end of that. He joined the army when he was 18. He wanted to join earlier, but his parents wouldn't let him. And there he is in his uniform there, and he joined the 4th Light Horse, who went to Gallipoli. While he was in Gallipoli, got shot at because he was a runner, going from trench to trench and dugout to dugout with messages. That was his job, so it was a pretty hectic job. At any rate, he came down very sick, and they shipped him off the hospital, shipped him back to England. Then from England there he went to the front, where he was a dispatch rider, and they had this is the dispatch rider on the Western Front about 1917. That's not Smithy on the bike, actually, someone else, but they just got that to show what they were like. It's the whole group of them. They're sponsored from Palestine. That's the sort of, I think they were Harley Davidson bikes they rode, and that's the job he did in the Western Front for a long while. And then, from there, he went back to England and volunteered. They looked for volunteers because the English were losing so many airmen in the air that they wanted volunteers for the Air Force. So the Australian Army, a lot of guys from the Australian Army volunteered for that job. And he first flew this assault with pup in World War One, his training. And he was a natural flyer. Then he went on to use the SPAD 7. That's the one he got shot down in. Not shot down in, he survived, but he's got 2 of his toes shot off, a lot of splintering in his face. Well, here's one of him. That's when he was convalescing in the hospital in England. He had his foot shot off there. And, there's another one of his friends. A lot of these guys came back seriously injured. 4,600. So after the war, he joined up with a couple of guys, one guy named Maddox and Rendell, and they formed the Smithy and Maddox Air Services. They did joy flights around England, went to country fairs and that sort of thing, doing joy flights for people. And that's a photograph in England. There he is on the far left there. He's plane that he flew up and down doing joy flights. There was a he bought these planes, and one of his friends, Standish, later on commented that it was all very mysterious. Did this deal he had with the surplus aviation company he got the planes from, and he bought them for £50 and insured them for £150. And the first one, he was coming back from a country fair with Maddox. Maddox wanted to go home, and Smithy wanted to land at this farmhouse. He knew that there was a girl there, and so they were fighting with the stick, and one of the wires broke. They crash landed the plane. They're both uninjured. They crashed the plane and wiped off. They got insurance for it. Then not long after that, they had another one with a fire, caught on fire in midair. And that was landed and burnt up. And they got the insurance for that again. So they were, a couple of £100 ahead. They were buying better planes as they were going along. We've got to go near this side of this gully, but virtually following Highway 101, I think it is. And around. There's Viper Strike, moving along. I'll start to slow down a bit. I'll just take me down. Yeah. Just have a look at a little nav map here. And yeah, so where was I? Back with Maddox. But then he crashed another one in fog, another plane in fog. Got the insurance for that one again. And then another time, fourth plane he crashed. All the time he's collecting insurance for these. And the fourth plane crashed. It was with a nurse taking her for a joyride. That usually ended up in some secluded place. So he with this nurse up in the air, and she got frightened, grabbed the stick, wouldn't let go. She was just absolutely in fear, so he says in his memoirs. And she grabbed the stick and just could not let go of it through fear. So they crashed into this field, and that was the end of the fourth plane. And they started asking questions then, insurance company. But this later on had a really bad effect on his life because in 1919 he actually entered the England to Australia air race. And he got a Blackburn Kangaroo plane to do the flight. There's the Blackburn Kangaroo, and he was going to fly that plane with Maddox and Rendell and another bloke, get his name, and they were going to fly to Australia. And they had everything worked out, and it happened the one day that Peter Blackburn, the owner of the Blackburn Company, was talking to a civil aviation guy somewhere, and Smithy's name came up. The civil aviation guy told him a story about his shonky deals with insurance and everything. His bad flying, he crashed 4 planes and wasn't very good. So Blackburn changed his mind, and the flight went to Wilkins. They crashed and Pete, I think it was. The only one to win that race, of course, was the Vickers Fleming. That was the race in 1919. And also, the only other people who finished that race was the Vickers Fleming and these two guys, McIntosh and Parry. They flew that biplane all the way from England to Australia in 1919. Absolutely unbelievable flight. Them in 1920 when they arrived. It took them about 4 months to get from England to Australia, and had adventures galore as well. His book was worth reading. There's a picture of Smith and Maddox. Smith on the left there, Maddox on the right. Picture taken when left the Air Force. Then so the that didn't work out. He took a ship to the United States at end of 1919. He went to America. He took a ship to New York, then a train to California, where his brother Harold lived. So, where his brother Harold lived. And so he went to America, and on the way on that train trip from New York to California, that's where he met Kay, forget her last name, uh, who later on in his life saved him, be introduced him to Alan Hancock, who bought the plane and gave him the money to do the flight. And actually, when he landed, he gave him the plane for nothing. He said, forget about the debt. Have the plane, it's all yours. But, so when he was in America, he got a lot of jobs. Um, One of them was crop dusting. There's a picture of him in America. He's sitting on the wing. And they were crop dusting these areas. And also, they used the scarecrows. They'd fly over there and shoot the birds off. I think it was geese or something. He'd come back and his plane would be absolutely covered in feathers and gore and everything, where he'd blown into all these flocks of geese. And then he got a job as a stuntman at university. And that's him flying upside down. He's hanging upside down. He got where the wheels are. Also, he actually tried to do a stunt to land on a moving train, and never worked out. One of his friends, I think his name was, that's it, Omar Lockie, his name. His friend there was stuntman as well. He died trying to do it, and they gave up doing the stunt work. Went to find some more quiet job. Then from there he went back to Australia, and started in a series there back in Australia when he was 21. Well, his application for a pilot license. He got his pilot license in Australia, and went to work for Western Australian Airways, where he worked for Norm Breasley, started the first passenger service. Qantas wasn't the first passenger service in Australia. It was Norm Breasley, Western Australian Airways. And I have some coffee here. Whoops. easy plane to fly and pick coffee and giggle things. See, right, caught up. Yep. Up there he is. On you, mate. How you going with the flight? You went to Sydney on Wednesday, right? Yeah, I did see you flying up north west there of Australia there the other day. The world update, I tell you, that's really amazing. Some of those places up West Australia, I've flown a lot up there before the update. I've been up there a couple of times with the update, and it's just absolutely looks unreal. I'm glad you like the photos, mate. Awesome. Following those down. Yeah, it is stunning, mate, especially up in that northwest where you were. I mean, when before they didn't have those cliffs rendered like that, it just flat land into nothing and just, sand that didn't look right. Now with all the cliffs and everything that's rendered in it, yeah, it does look fantastic. Yeah, so Smithy went to Western Australia Airways. He stayed there for a couple of years doing mail runs from all the way from Carnarvon up to Broome, and got to know a lot of people up that way, especially a lot of graziers, I think. We travelled some out to the grazier properties, out back delivering mail to them and everything. So we got to know a lot of people. And he rudder with this plane. It's something you've got to get used to. Oh, this is a good photograph here. This is a photograph of the Southern Cross getting the new J5 engines at San Diego. Not San Diego, sorry, at Boeing Field. Seattle, I think it is. See there the stars painted on it. Number 185 at the top here. One here, Smith, top of the cross. You can see it similar. at 7-knot wind. Yeah, that's him in his cockpit there. One here is when they landed Wheels Field in Honolulu, in Hawaii. They flew from that's one there of the early picture of it. Very early. Southern Crossing came on. See this price down here, up there. 185, 195, just a little bit different. It goes through several paint jobs. The guy who bought the plane off originally, Wilkins. It was an Arctic Explorer. He had the planes before him. He sold it to them for, I think it was £3,000 for the planes for. That was on a time payment plan. They didn't have the money for it. Then they got the money from a guy named Sidney Myers for the engines, part of the instruments. He was a Myra Emporium was a large shopping, call them shopping complexes in Australia, in Melbourne especially. Myers stores still going today. He was the owner of those. He lent the money for them to buy the engine. There's an interesting story of when they came back from the Pacific flight at Suva, because the other two guys, Lyons and Warner, they were just contracted people for the flight, and Alma asked them to leave because they get to Brisbane okay with just the two of them. And Lyons took offence to that. They had an argument over it. Things come to fisticuffs, and they had a fight in the middle of the hotel. At any rate, they actually hopped out of the plane when it landed in Brisbane, jumped out the back of the plane, and this is them walking back. There's the plane landing there. That's actually blowing up the tower way back there. Yeah, that's them, their feet coming out of the plane, that land. That was Harry Lyons and Navigator. Actually, you can see the star there. Radio operator. And there's one part of Smithy. Now, when they got back after the Pacific flight, they did a flight from, well, get there, but they planned a flight from Australia to England, complete his round the world trip, then flew over the Atlantic, then to across America, California. That was the plan. They took off from Richmond, and they hit a great storm the other side of Alice Springs on the way to Wyndham. After the storm hit them, they just couldn't see anything. There was blind flying everywhere. They flew over Wyndham, missed it, then hit the coastline and flew back again. They knew they'd missed it. They hit the coast. Then asked directions from a mission, and they gave them the wrong directions. They flew southeast. They ended up at a place called Glenelg River. They landed the plane. This is a picture of them after they were found after 12 days. I was there. This is Bill and Mel. It's like there. Smithy. Across where it landed, the Nile River. See his landing path, it skidded around there, these rock bushes here. That was they say that that was the only place for 100 miles around that was suitable for landing. Skidded around there. Superb flyer. This one's here, ready to take off. See the generators there? Generators. They actually took them off at Glenelg River when they crash landed there to try to get the radio work. Sorry, Viper Strike, mate. I've been talking away and I've got miles away from me plan to do a yeah, get back on course a bit. Sorry about that, Viper Strike. This Of course, while this was all going on in Smithy's life, Qantas started up, and signpost continued by air to Tambo, Blackmore, Longreach, Northwest, terminating Garage, Qantas line, Longreach. First passenger ever flown on the Qantas plane. His name was Alex Kennedy, 87 years old he was. He was the first passenger on the Qantas plane. Hurried to Longreach. To Brisbane. That's one of the first planes that Qantas has. They had the Avro 504s. But actually built in Australia. They had started a Avro factory the Avo factory in Sydney, just outside of Mascot. So started building planes. Here's a picture of Captain Hancock, Alan Hancock, the guy who lent them the money. Saying goodbye, they take off. Then from Western Australia Airways, I'll just get back to Smithy's life. Western Australian Airways, Smithy went to buy a trucking company in the Gascoyne region. There's Viper Strike down there. Hey, mate. Just get back onto this main road, mate. Here. Highway 101. So, yes, he went and had a trucking company and bought it. He bought a garage first. That was up for sale at Carnarvon. And bought that in 1923. Then he bought 2 Republican truck trailers. There we see there. Anderson there, still there. Anderson business partner at that time. That's the route he used to take. Carnarvon, Carnarvon. That's truck. Ended up having 5 or 6 trucks, and get down in that valley down there. Yes, it had a trucking company. It did very well. It was earning 350 pounds a month. Of course, he already knew the graziers down the place, so he had good contact. Before that, of course, Smithy came along with the trucks. They'd take all the wool bales and the cattle and everything by camel, a huge camel train, 25, 30 camels all packed up those wool bales. How big those wool bales are. That packed camel. But while he was there, the marriage license of his first wife, Thelma, married this girl, one of the nations out there, Thelma. Like, he divorced her about 9 months later. He could handle being left alone at the Gascoyne Hotel weeks on end. Well, he was around the yahooing around the place. Of course, he loved to have a drink with him. And the Gascoyne Hotel one night, he actually got his nose broken and 3 ribs cracked. Like this big shearer bit off more than he chewed that day. He wasn't afraid to have a fight. And himself. So just now back to the source, you know. This is a good photograph of the Southern Cross. It shows the Southern Cross, registration number, the stars there, and the wind generator there. I think that one's coming up Melbourne. Like Sydney. One here shows you too the wind generators under there, stars painted on it, VH information, take them off. Ready to take off from an unusual takeoff from Oakland. Picture them when they're redesigning them. See they're smithing, pointing out places where they can put something or redesign and cut it out. They put 1,000-gallon tank in there. They took off the bark down beach. One is Lion's chart used from Oakland, California to hard to keep on course. Same time. Yeah, I think I'd glad to like it. Right. This is a chart of lines used on the flight. Oakland. Why they went to like down beach deck. The plane was that heavy, it had to have a place like that to take off. These other chart to part of on the beach in Suva Island, just off the coast. Good on you, mate. Thanks for flying along, mate. Much appreciated. Been great. Suva. That they are in Suva, and you notice the boards there that keep sinking into the sand. Status. Right. And this is the football ground they had to land on. I think it was 600 feet long. This is an old photograph of it, photographed in 1928, there's a lot of small trees around. Small trees around. That's the Albert Park football field they had to land on. It was low tide. They couldn't find a beach to land on. That was the designated place that Anderson had picked out. We often wondered whether sabotaged picked out place, whether they even looked at it. It's the actual land. The landing of them at yes, all-time great landings that great landings of his land on such a small field. And actually what he did, got down and speed along the ground, because had no brakes. He used the rudder to turn around and spin around the boat to stop himself. Bobby Peck, the sexton, carry a bubble sextant with them. I think the bubble section was a ordinary section sextant with a level on it so he could take the horizon. But Smithy still had to get down to 100 feet to get the horizon. But I think they were specially made for aviation. This is a picture of Mills Field way back in 1928. When Smithy was there. Used one of these hangers here. Yeah, Mills Field now is San Francisco Airport. Right. This is some of the supplies that taken giant moth drop over to Smithy and his crew. Yes, had the giant moth from Western Australian Airways up to find them. When they were found, they dropped off heaps of supplies so they could get a plane to land on. Well, moth. That's the mission they flew over. Dropped their note to him, gave the wrong directions. And now what happened here? Was these two guys, Anderson, his old partner, and Hancock, they took the Kookaburra plane. plane that was unsuited for a long journey. Only meant to sort of go 50 miles and do a little tour. It wasn't a long distance plane. And they took this Kookaburra and went up to Tanami, through the Tanami Desert to get to Wyndham, and they had engine trouble and had to land. They only took a bottle of water with them, a pint of water or something, when they left Alice Springs. Someone had mentioned to them to take more water in case anything happens, but they didn't. There was more weight, so they put it in as fuel. So they flew up there, landed, and after 3 days, they photographed the whale. You can see the body underneath there. Ran out of water and died of thirst up there. Sad thing. Anderson's body was found further away. There was a big hullabaloo over there. That's the message there that Hitchcock wrote on the tail of the plane. Their last moment. So Hitchcock was buried under the wing of a plane where he found him, later taken back to Western Australia to be buried. Anderson was buried further away, but his body was taken back and he had to stay for the night. There's a picture of the Kookaburra, and it wasn't a plane for long distance. Made they buried. Another picture of the moth as the guys went out searching for this lady was. Here, Jimmy Wood, pilot, found them. River. They had heard several planes go over. They didn't see them. They did have a smoke fire up here burning in home. Them at Newcastle waters when they were taken back. Newcastle waters, they got the Southern Cross line and flew it back to Newcastle waters and back to Sydney. When they came back, it was a newspaper article saying that they did it all for publicity. Two men died because of it, and there was a royal commission, but they found Smithy not guilty of anything. I have to explain what happened. They lost their radio aerial, couldn't transmit to anybody, only had the receiver working. And when he explained what happened to them, I said, well, that must be what happened. They had other evidence talking about that was called the Coffee Royal Affair. I'll be doing a flight on that too. Flight of that. Hey, Viper, I can see you down there. My mouse getting really. Oops. Notes. First here. I wonder if there's an airport somewhere around Viper Strike we can land off from. For let's have a look, a little nav note here. Macmillan. Not even half. there yet. We have diverted the bit as well. That's a Robel, APRB, not far away from that one. Maybe we might stop there and have a break, unless you want to fly on. That's a good point. Hang on a sec, folks. I'll hang on. A lot of weight in it. It does fly a little bit better. Drive experience anyway. You keep following this gully down in this road. I'm sure that's 101. Still on. Follow us down. Yes. There's a restricted area on the little nav map here I'm just looking at. What the area? Right. McMillan Airport. Another one over here, greyed out. And Miguel. This has been a great flight, this has. Going well. But race post stage roped down. 124 knots ground speed. The real, and I've got back a bit on the red. Don't know if the mixture works or connected. Didn't find anything about the mixture. Can't use my HUD switch on my yoke at the moment because every time I do it, the whole thing freezes up. I have to use the mouse with it. I don't know what's wrong with it, whether it's a program or something. So flying this over the Pacific, well, that's going to be a challenge when that comes up. I'll probably be starting that next Saturday, flight over the Pacific. Left in May, so didn't have to plane long, only a few months. Well, the first month he didn't fly it. Wilkins gave him the name of a really good flyer that he knew that was flying the Fokker for the United States Navy, named George Pond, commander in the Commodore, I should say, the United States Navy. He had a lot of experience with the Fokker. So Smithy and I think he was the one that suggested cutting the tail down because of the something to do with the fluttering the tail rudder. So must be a testing area or something. Army, maybe, or something, is it? Barren ground. But it's a restricted area for some reason. Don't know what. I want to hear my computer humming away. Fast render. Especially we found it all, but when I've been going into all my orbit scenery pack of Adelaide and Sydney, my computer goes crazy trying to keep up with the rendering. Like this road. one time coming over the Tasman, right to the airmail, King George V's celebration or something, and they noticed there was a lot of heat around one of the pipes there, and it actually fractured, and it spun up and hit the propeller and sliced a big piece off the propeller. He had to shut the engine down. Now, when that happened, after a while, the other engine couldn't keep up with it. It burnt a lot of oil. So they transferred the oil out of one engine into another. I said, I've got so many. Now, this old suitcase is very historical. It's in the museum. And tell you what happened with the suitcase. This is the broken propeller with photographs of it. The information there. There's a better look at it. It's fading. Now, Taylor, this is a reenactment movie. He got out on that strut there, undid the oil cap underneath, poured the oil out into a poured the oil into a vacuum glass, handed it back to Sandy. There's actually photographs of the broken. Passed it back to Sandy. Sandy's transferred into the suitcase and transferred it back. These are all popped off. He said after he did the Pacific flight, shaved about an inch off each prop. It's raining. That's built over here. There was a water later on with a yeah, he got awarded the medal after 2 years for doing that. Yeah, what a unbelievable guy. They had, well, if they didn't do it, the other motor would have gave out and they would have been in the sink. And in the end, they had to throw out all the mail and everything, and you think it wasn't nailed down. Luckily enough, they didn't throw out this adjustable spanner that was underneath the seat in the front of the plane. Lucky of that, because that's what they used to undo the bolt, the oil pan. It was either that or they're going into the drink At any rate, they made it back just. I hate to splinter one of those props. A tin can. I hurt the frocker, yeah. Yeah, well, it was either that they were going into the drink. They couldn't help it. Another thing they did in Suva, they took off this beach. But I had a look on the world map and the sim, and there's no beach there. It's just bush into land, into sea, in the land, place to take off. So I'm going to have to do that one from an airport. That's going. Like any sounds I can take off, sands I can take off from the beach, no problem. Another one in Australia that he took off Keroa, I think, beach, about 30 miles south of Sydney. And that can, hard to see here because I've got this great light in front of me. And so the camera's not. There's a map of the Pacific flight we did. Here, this field, landed. Okay, landed the plane, taking off all that way. They need long parking stand. Anderson had found talking to aviation people there at Hawaii. Then off to Suva, they had to land at Elk Park. Then they took off from another island there. Can't take off, you have to take off from the airport, that leg. Sim anyway, that beach there. And then on to Brisbane to Sydney, had to the break, went down to Melbourne. Then from Point Cook, they did a non-stop flight to Perth. Also, there's a link down below for an interactive Google map. Shows you all the flight paths Smithy did around the world. They work in progress at the moment. I put a lot of photographs in there, here and there. Yeah, I think it's a bit more than 28 hours actually. I haven't put it up yet and had a look at it. But the one in the sim they've got is a landing at airports all the way. Must have a look after shut down the sim Viper Strike that what that actually is and how much it counts out with the Fokker loaded up in it. The whole flight took him 63 hours, I think, actual flying time. and check this out. Nav map. Yep. And Louise country. We're just about there. Once over these mountains here, we'll be coming into Santa Maria. Wow. Oh, right. We really haven't got that far to go. Just measure it here in a little nav map. See. "36 nautical miles to go." Come into Santa Maria. Oh wow. It'd take longer to all that. It would take a lot longer than that. I think I said 2 hours and 18 minutes or something on the first loaded up map. So I've got a lot more photos to show, but I'll keep them for other flights that I'm doing. Talk about them and his life. He had a very interesting life, Pete Smith. He was a hero. We've got him on our stamps, on our coins, $1 coin, on the used to be on the $20 note. They made stamps of him about, I think it was 1938, then in about 1950, 57, then again in the 1970s. I first heard about him when I was collecting airmail. I used to be a stamp collector. Well, not stamps actually. History. Philatelic history. Australia. Were cover makers that make first day covers and so forth. I got into airmail. That's the first time I heard about King. Someone gave a talk about it. They had a collection of all his memorabilia. And on Monday I never showed actually. No, this is what Smithy flew with all his life. This photo of Nellie Stewart. And he got this when he was about 16, 17. His sister was an actress. She was Australia's foremost actress, Stewart. She was in a play with her. She got it signed to Kingsford from Nellie Stewart. This is not actual one, but the actual photograph is. So, same type of photograph. And he carried that all his life, everywhere he went, flying. He also had it. He was a great piano player. Played the banjo. Carried a banjo in his plane most of the time when he was flying up northwest. They'd stop off at hotels and they had parties every night. And he was very good at making up ditties, even in his younger days. He'd sit at the piano and make up songs, ditties. And every time he took off in his plane, he sung a song. I don't know all of it, but some of it goes, the bells of hell go ding-a-ling and ding-a-ling, but that it won't be ringing for me. And that was the start of it. And there was a ditty about the bells of hell. He also carried in his later life he got from governor's wife of Northern Ireland, a four-leaf clover with the words, I think it said something about Godspeed West or something, on his flight from east to west across the Atlantic. 20 minutes from the airport. Okay, mate. Yeah, I can see the lot of grassland comes up. Then the airport's over this little mountain here. Down. It's low. Very floaty plane, like the Junkers used to be. But not knowing what the real dynamics, what is it, the Southern Cross? I don't know. Which way's the wind? No, it doesn't matter which way because it's got a crosswind. We'll have to put up that crosswind of 7-knot crosswind. Yeah. Get the sand over there. Here. Okay. Run. Runway 12 by right. Another 15 minutes, we could say. I'm getting ready for landing. So I hope you enjoyed all the photographs, you guys. Thanks for coming along, coast to coast. Like us, guys. Great. Air race, in his book that he wrote, Bill said that when he got out of the plane, he had to get Smithy to feather it when he went to put the oil into the other prop. He had to do that and just fly it on one engine, the middle engine. That was a bit of a juggling. You had to sort of come in and hang on and he'd fire it up and go up a couple of 100 feet and feather it, then turn it off, whatever he did. So it would have been a difficult manoeuvre to do for both of them, or three of them. But especially for Bill Taylor being out there, he had to grab hold of the struts there. You know, it would have been like a koala in a cyclone. Grabbing hold of those struts there, hanging on. Well, we haven't used much fuel in that run. It surprised me. really surprised with that. I thought that these motors burned 11 gallons an hour at 2,000 revs. Burnt a lot less than that. 23%. It's a good idea to use these rudders under 500 feet. You do go down quite a bit. There. A little tip of a light there. $118. Good. Okay, river. Yeah. Six. Found it's got to come in long, low flow. safely down. You, you, beautiful. Look at that. Photograph that. This, my poor old computer's here spinning out. Well, thanks, Viper Strike, for coming along, mate. That was an awesome flight. Hope you liked all the photos. But, yeah, she's a handful, the old plane, isn't it? Love it. I hope they get, I don't know if they could add a thing like the wind generators on it. It would making it authentic. Needs a little bit of work there. The Southern Cross stars painted on it. And the wind generators would be perfect. Oh, what's that there? Some sort of thing hanging down the back. What's that? Oh, that looks strange. See that, Viper Strike? What the hell's that? Underneath. Oh, I'm on a that's what it is. Right. Like I'll have to do this mode here. Photo mode. Make that snap. That'll look alright. Well, thanks, Viper Strike, for coming along, mate. That was excellent. I loved every minute of it. Hope you enjoy it. I'm going out to fly the plane again in a minute. So if you want to hang around, yeah. So thanks for watching on there. And hope see everybody on the next stream. Probably next Saturday, unless I might do a mid-week one. It all depends what happens. So I'll see everyone then, and thanks, Raisin and Toast, the Viper Strike. Awesome to have you here, mate. And I'll catch everyone later. Bye for now.